Guys, what is going on? It's Chris with Chris Country. A lot of you might look kind of good on the video, but right now I'm looking into the sun, so kind of sucks. Ew, I'll put my sun down. Anyway, so this video I'm just gonna try and make it quick. I was kind of thinking about, I'm pretty sure guys and gals, we all have what we refer to as our dream vehicle, which is basically that one vehicle or maybe even a couple of vehicles that you would like to maybe one day own. And I think there's a few of us that finally get to that point where we're able to own it, either through just an unexpected situation, or just maybe through hard work or some other luck. You randomly get enough money that you're able to just outright purchase one. And I can kind of say that for myself. I mean, for those of you that know me, I've been through a lot of vehicles. We're right at the tail end of July of 2018. I've had my driver's license since the summer of 2009. I probably started actively driving and owning a vehicle as of the summer of 2010. And I can honestly say, including this truck, I think last I counted, when I did count, including this truck, this is my 40th vehicle that I've owned. Some vehicles I've only owned a couple of days, some I've owned a couple of months, some I've owned close to a year. I think the longest I've owned a vehicle is about 7 or 8 months, and I've had several vehicles for that length of time. But I digress. I've had a number of vehicles, and I remember when I first started driving, before I got my first car, I was kind of in that stage where, I mean, even before I had my first car, I was kind of at that stage where I would have been happy to have anything. When I was younger, well before I started driving, there was a couple of times my parents or even my grandparents were thinking about just, giving me one of their older cars. My grandmother had a 94 Ford Aerostar way back when. And I kind of liked that thing just because it was all-wheel drive and it had I guess you can call it the digital LCD LED displays for the instrument cluster. But looking back, I'm kind of glad I didn't get that vehicle just because, now that I'm more mechanically inclined, and from what I've heard about working on Aerostars, the stories I've heard, those things are just a pain in the butt if anything breaks on them. And then my folks were also considering letting me have my grandma's 91 Cavalier station wagon, which I thought was kind of a cool little car. But I've always been a truck guy. When I first started driving when I was still a teenager and in my early 20s, like the trucks that really got my attention were like the early to late 70s GM trucks, Chevy GM, and the big trucks, the K10s, the K20s, the K30s. Back then I would have been happy with the single cab. I really liked the step sides, but I think the step sides were only in like the K and C10 models. I don't really remember seeing them on the heavier trucks, but they built the heavier trucks to pull heavier payloads, so of course the little step side bed ain't gonna do that. So that was kind of like my dream truck back then. But of course, as I got older, my needs and wants kind of changed up a little more. I would have been happy to went with one of those to, I like crew cab trucks, the full, legit crew cab trucks. And for a long time, I wanted one of those. And I mean, I've had a few extended cab trucks, but in my opinion, I didn't get my first legit crew cab truck until I got Spot a couple of years back. She was my '03 F-250 with the 5.4 Triton gasser. But early on, like way early on, like back when I was first starting to drive and drive more often and get more vehicles, I found myself attracted to diesels. At first, I didn't really care for them just because I didn't really know them. I just figured they were expensive and they ran differently. I didn't understand how they ran, so they just didn't interest me at first. And then as I got more mechanically inclined and studied more, I started finding out more about diesels. And I mentioned this, in a couple other videos, so just to summarize it, when I did finally start liking diesels and starting to get into them, I found myself wanting either a Duramax or a Cummins. So But I mean, even then, I just would have been happy with a diesel. And years ago, I guess it feels like years and years ago now, like back in 2011, 2012, I had a couple of project trucks. They were, I think, F-250s out of the late 80s. They had the 6.9 IDI. I never really was able to get those up and running, but they're kind of cool little projects. So it started off with that. It started off with me wanting a diesel. And I just kind of grew from there, and eventually I got to where I decided my dream truck was a crew cab Cummins. And for a while, I was actually even wanting a second gen Cummins, like the second gen 12-valve Cummins. But like I said, as I got older, my needs changed. I realized I needed a crew cab, which, yeah, I kind of got away from Cummins. I was kind of leaning back toward Duramaxes for a while, just because they had the full crew cab for the newer trucks, and Dodge didn't. But then I found the Mega Cab from Dodge, which is what I have now, which is an 06. And to me, it's got the engine I've always wanted, and it's got the crew cab I've always wanted. And this is the last full year of the 5.9 Cummins. And a couple of people have said, well, why did you go after like a newer truck? Like a newer Cummins? And I'm not bashing on the 6.7 Cummins. I think that truck's a great truck. I just don't care for the after treatment systems. After treatment being the emission systems, the DPF, SCR, all that fun stuff. Just because to me they take away from the longevity of a truck, and it's more systems that you have to watch out for. We've all heard stories about the early DPFs. If they clog, it basically puts up a bunch of back pressure into the truck, and your fuel economy is crapping those things anyway. So that's why I really haven't wanted a newer truck, or at least a newer Cummins. So for me, honestly, I'm kind of driving what has become my dream truck. So that's kind of how my dream truck evolved. So I'm willing to put the question out to you guys, my viewers. I'm wondering, has the same thing happened to you guys? What was your dream truck or dream car when you were younger versus what is your dream truck or car now? Feel free to comment below. I'm really interested to see what you guys have to say. I'm Chris for Chris Country. I hope you guys are having a great day, weeknight, weekend, whatever time it is, wherever you may happen to be. Please feel free to rate, comment, and subscribe below if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.